Well, I guess I'm complaining again, so everything's fine. It's a crazy season, guys. It's a crazy season. Let's hit the intro.
Think that was
Welcome.
the outro.
Yeah, I know.
The outro, not the intro.
And I hit the wrong one. All right, let's hit the intro.
We'll do the intro at the end.
All right, my name is Judah Buddha. That was the outro. That over there is AJ Herschel, and even further over is it's Jared. And AJ Herschel is the kid. And my name is Judah Buddha. We are the Roto Hacker video podcast. We have 3 people watching. We already have 1 comment in the comment section. Guys, how are you doing today?
AJ, you want to take that one?
I'm doing all right. I went 7-0 in fantasy this week, so
Ooh.
I'm on cloud 9 right there. A little bit upset that Windy City Hawks started Evan Ingram on a bye and had Dallas Goddard on his bench and lost to Judah by 1. So I'm a little upset about that, but that isn't going to spoil my mood. This is my first undefeated week the entire season, so I ain't going to complain.
Oh, what would it be like to have an undefeated week? Must be nice. Yeah. Jared?
I had a good week overall. Like my big money teams, most of those won, and so most of those are in record wise, they're in pretty good shape. They're at like 7-4. The problem is one of my leagues, I've got the most points in the league, like 1,400 and something points, like 150 points more than anybody else. Yet I'm in second place, not first place, and the teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 are also 7-4. So I could very easily finish with the most points in the league, like 8 and 6 or something like that, and miss the playoffs in like 6th or 7th place. Also, thank goodness these were $20 teams, or I would be in a rage right now. I had a good week overall. I won 60+% of my games. I had 3 $20 teams that all 3 lost by less than a point.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Both of us in that one league.
In the league that Judah and I are in, the public league that he and I are in together, he lost by like 22 100ths of a point. And I lost by like, half a point or a little over half a point.
But it's okay because I had Melvin Gordon on my bench, so that didn't make me feel angry at all at myself.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was that kind of week for me. Although I did win some pretty important places, and I was like, my church league, I was slated to lose, and then and he had Murray, and Murray started off, not really doing well. 22 points. I think I played Taysom Hill. No, I ended up playing Lamar, but Lamar, of course, Lamar is garbage, folks. Lamar is straight garbage. Well, but hey, at least Dobbins went off this week, so that's awesome. That's awesome. Needed that to happen on my bench.
Yeah.
So,
it's even better that now he's on the COVID list, so you can you can ride that hot streak right into next week.
Yeah, that was going to be. I thought like, oh yeah, J.K. Dobbins, he's about to take off, and no.
It like almost the exact same moment. J.K. Dobbins and A.J. Green scored a touchdown, and I was like, man, these are my guys that I'm saying are going to be hot pickups that they're going to change people's leagues. Yeah, universe is against. I think I've cursed them, so sorry, guys.
It's a sad state of affairs when I'm looking at like multiple Jets players being like, these guys might be difference makers here in the last couple of weeks of the regular season. Like Frank Gore might catapult me into the playoffs.
I think somebody in our listener league said something about that. I can't find it, but yeah, it just might be that kind of thing. Oh, my white balance just went crazy. So what are your takeaways? Saying all that said, what are your guys' takeaways from this last week? We'll start with you, Jared. What are your takeaways? I like to work sort of outside in,
I guess some of mine. Taysom Hill, actually ended up looking pretty good. It's hard to know for sure from one game, but if nothing else, like he gets the Falcons again in a couple of weeks. I mean, a lot of his schedule, at least for the next few weeks, is not bad. So he looks like a realistic option. On the other side of things, Joe Burrow became the latest victim of FedEx Field, which is the destroyer of legs when it comes to quarterbacks. So they're talking about, Burrow, like his 2021 season is in jeopardy too, because it's like a 9 to 12 month recovery time. So if he gets back, it's going to be like right at the start of next season. And so we'll see. For this season, like I'm afraid, what's going to happen to the Bengals receivers is the same thing that happened to the Cowboys receivers when Dak went down. Is that they're, at minimum going to go from being like wide receiver 1-2 borderline to like, wide receiver 2-3, maybe wide receiver 3-4 board. I don't know. It's just not a good situation.
Although Dalton did pretty well this week. This last week.
He got him a win.
Yeah, he came back and got him a win.
He had like 3 touchdowns too, didn't he?
Maybe so. I mean, keep in mind it was Minnesota,
right?
So that's one of the bottom barrel.
Yeah.
When it comes to pass defenses. So, I mean, Andy Dalton, I mean, he still only, I mean, he didn't crack 20 points. We had 19.82. So, I mean, that's way better than what he was doing.
Yeah.
Gave Zeke some fantasy value.
A
little bit. So that was another one of my takeaways. Colts. I'll finish off with some of the Colts. Is we had a little bit of a Jonathan Taylor resurgence.
Finally,
finally. But then it still just kind of makes it harder to trust that backfield still because the previous week it's like, oh, maybe Naheem Hines is finally gonna take over. He had a season high 12 carries, 70 and a touchdown. He was catching passes against Tennessee, and then nope, right back to Taylor. Pittman, Pittman's looking good. He's looking like he could be the, kind of repeat what Chase Claypool's done in Pittsburgh this season. So, we started to see some more guys break out as some other guys are maybe about to decline.
Good way to put it. AJ?
Yeah, for me, I'd like to issue a thank you to any wide receiver who played on my fantasy team this week. Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool, Chris Godwin. Like, it was a wide receiver heavy week for me. And Melvin Gordon's back with 2 question marks. He got the goal line carries. He got 2 touchdowns, but a late game fumble, that's not helpful. And then on top of that, Lindsey got 15 carries. So, I mean, I want to feel confident because that 18.5 sitting in my starting lineup is real nice, but I don't know if that's going to last. I don't want to get gaslighted by this 1 week into believing something that isn't true. Also, Mark Andrews seems to be back. He's back to starting to get into normal form, getting the targets. I know all of us are tired of Hollywood, but hopefully Andrew starts to get back to normal. 2 weeks, 918 points, not bad. And I think I'm officially just never starting people on Thursday again. It is just always underwhelming. Fulgham and Giants versus Eagles. Everybody in that Falcons versus Panthers game. Yeah, I mean, Russell got 20 and Metcalf got 12. I mean, that'd be fine if that was Tyler Boyd and Andy Dalton. But these are guys that I'm expecting 15 plus from every single
But that wasn't a Thursday game.
That's
right?
what I'm Yeah, it was. It was the Thursday game this week. Seahawks Cardinals. That was the Thursday game.
Yeah, that's right. It was.
So I'm in doubt now for Detroit, who put up a big fat 0. Which someone in one of my leagues lost because Matt Prater never kicked an extra point. I think I'm done starting people on Thursdays. It's just been rough.
Well, it's tougher to get around this week though because you've got like three Thanksgiving Day games. So that could be like some people's entire fantasy lineups right there. You know?
So who's playing on Thursday? That's a good thing.
Texans Lions, because we all know the Texans play on Thanksgiving. Dallas versus the Washington football team, and then we finish with Ravens Steelers. So 2 classic rivalries, and we didn't have another day to schedule this, and we need Texas viewership.
Wait a minute. So the Lions aren't playing? The Lions
are playing the Texans.
They are.
Because that makes sense.
Okay.
They're the 12:30 games. The Lions are always the 12:30 game.
They always play on.
It's like
them in Dallas.
It's like reassuring. Yeah, like Lions are always the 12:30 game, and then Dallas is pretty much always always the afternoon 4:30, 4 o'clock, whatever game.
Yeah, why is that? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it though. I kind of like
I do too.
knowing that it's going to be there, and especially because used to I would always have Calvin Johnson, on some teams and stuff, so you could always look forward to that, is Calvin Johnson going to give me 3 touchdowns? And so maybe Babytron Galladay shows back up and has.
I don't know. He didn't practice today. He didn't practice today. So.
Oh, Kenny Galladay.
Oh man, the bane of a few of my teams. Just I had such high expectations.
In one of our leagues, Judah, you started Galladay against me, and
did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you started Galladay against me.
Oh, is it that league where
the college one or whatever? Hey, look, I'm first place in that league. I'm all in, man.
I think I'm last place in that league.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I half the people don't even play that in that league. So yeah, I should start. I think it's probably too late, but yeah. Did I start Galladay?
Yeah, you did this week.
That's not good. Yeah, my takeaways. Lamar Jackson's just he may not be good. I think he was good for a certain thing. He is good at running, and he has improved his passing. But man, he's got to be more than that, and he just couldn't. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, I thought looking at him last year, I thought he was going to have enough, because he looked good passing the ball at times, but I also drafted him in 0 leagues this year because the NFL is a league of adjustments, and I really could not get a read on how well they were going to be able to adjust to him for the price that he was going for. I didn't want to do it. So we were talking, before we came on, where I feel like I didn't hit on a lot of the star players. I didn't get much Kamara. I didn't get much Cook. I literally have 1 share of Cook and 1 share of Kamara. But I avoided a lot of the busts. too. Not that Lamar is really a bust, but I avoided like most of the injury prone players and stuff like that. So, or overspending for somebody like Lamar. So,
yeah, well, that's good.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's resulted in a lot of teams that are like, we're okay.
We can make
Hey,
make the
take
playoffs.
We'll take it this year, though.
Make the playoffs and have a good week and win.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to officially say that my Alex Smith experiment did not work out this week. I mean, hey, I was able to hang on and beat Ryan in this week. Thank you, all my wide receivers. I had Adams, Thielen, and Kupp going. But, yeah, that 9 points really did. I was really hoping it'd be a little more than that. But it was better than Stafford this week, so.
That was going to be one of my questions. Is it just me? Because one of my takeaways is wide receivers are just if you have a wonderful wide receiver this year, you are blessed. You know, if you have Adams, if you have Tyreek the Freak, man,
Yep.
I avoided him much to my chagrin. Because if you have Adams or Tyreek Hill or who else?
Metcalf.
Yeah, I avoided him because of his schedule, but he's been great.
Yeah.
And maybe even who are we talking about had a good but they're far and few between.
Diggs and Keenan Allen, those two as well.
Yeah,
Diggs, Keenan Allen. These are people I have a lot of Diggs, but
it's like it's every position though, you know, like apart from quarterback where we've had several, especially before Dak went down, we had several guys doing well. I mean, not Lamar, but Patrick Mahomes, Kyler, Josh Allen, he had a down period and then he's kind of got back together. Russell, of course, now he's had a down period, but overall, like a lot of those guys for most of the season have been really good. Tight end, it's like Kelsey and Waller, and that's it. And
it's
then
really just Kelsey, and that's it.
And then running back, it's like Cook and Kamara, and then like a little bit of Derrick Henry, but then that's it. And then wide receiver, the ones we just named. And that's why, we see, I think, so much parity in all these, most of these leagues is because you don't know, like week to week, you have no idea who's going to go off or who's not. And so it's all like shaking out fairly evenly,
But here's the thing is that the difference for me is that between the wide receiver and running backs, I can piece together a running back core. Like I've had less trouble with that. I'm looking around and I'm not just talking about the waiver wire. I'm talking about all my leagues and just trying to get a bunch of wide receivers, and I'm coming up empty, man. I have it just feels like more. I don't know. Same. I don't know. It just feels like a lot of that.
Yeah.
To where it's like these guys could get me 0, and this week they did.
Right.
Whereas a lot of these running backs, they can at least get you, regularly 5, 6. You can count on them. 10. Like Henderson, he's not going to do great, but he'll get enough work. Some of these wide receivers, they're oh man, Brown. I think he ended up doing okay this week, but just dropping everything.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
Metcalf
AJ.
Too, dropped 2, a touchdown, and then a 30-yard pass.
And then of course Hollywood Brown, just garbage. I'm trying to think who did we expect was going to do well, because I'm looking at my teams thinking, I don't know who I should have if I had to draft again right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would draft at wide receiver. I know who I would draft for running back. Who, other than the top 2 or top 3, who would you draft?
Well, I mean, we talked about those guys before, but yeah, beyond that, it's a lot of guys in kind of, roughly the same area,
Yeah.
like even like guys like Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's had, okay, like let's look at Adam Thielen's last 4 weeks. He had back-to-back weeks in week 8 and week 9 of 4-point-something points. And
I
then,
was there for that.
And then week 10, he had 18.3, and week 11, he had 28.3. And so it's like Adam Thielen, it's probably either going to be 4 or 25.
Yep.
It's just you can't count on it. Like one of the probably maybe one of the most surprising ones who's been surprisingly consistent, who's stayed healthy surprisingly and gotten consistent targets is Will Fuller. He's been really consistent. But even
like Woods has been really consistent too. He's had 2 games with really like 6 and a 4, but everything's been double digits, high double digits too. Woods. What about Cup? I haven't looked at Cup.
He's been okay. He's starting to come back recently, which a lot of it helped to the fact that, hey, we decided to run the ball 5 times against the Bucks, but he's been up and down 6, 10, 21, 15, 9, 2, 8, 16, 7, 20. It's hills and valleys, but his end of year schedule is beautiful. So I'm really kind of banking on that. Also, can I officially say I'm starting to get tired of Devontae Booker spelling Josh Jacobs? It's really killing my shares that he is taking.
And he's doing well too. I was watching him. He did pretty good. He looked good out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Adams. So who are the top ones? Adams, Tyreek. I can't. DK.
Yeah.
And then who is it?
For the most part,
and you send who'd you say had been
Diggs,
Fuller?
Keenan Allen, Fuller.
Diggs, Keenan Allen, and then that's it.
Yeah. Terry McLaurin, to be fair, has only had 2 sub-10 games, and one of those was week 1. So, I mean, do what you will with that. But he's been pretty consistent in half point. And, I mean, Hopkins, he's had a couple down games, but for the most part, he's been pretty good too.
Hopkins. Yeah, I forgot about Hopkins. He's actually been pretty solid, all things considered.
Also, it's starting to look more and more ridiculous that Justin Jefferson went undrafted in some leagues, because I get that he's boom or bust, but when he booms, he booms.
Mm-hmm.
He has been good. Man, I'm looking at Tyler Boyd has been really good too, but of course you said that we may have seen the end of his consistency. He was actually very good. Not so great first week, 5 points, but then 16, 17, 12, 6, then 10, 22, 16 by 7, and then 13. That's pretty solid. So I just thought it was interesting. I mean, I just can't believe how hard it is. Well, and we'll talk about the waiver wire pretty soon here, because we're not going to spend too much time tonight. But I just wanted to take a look at that because I just thought it was odd. Where I can pick up like a Lindsay and expect 6 points or something like that, or pick up even Madison, or somebody, a backup running back. When I look at the wide receivers, it's just like, woo. It's just desolate.
Yep.
All right. Well, already Liam from even before we started said, who do I start? Taysom Hill, Derek Carr, or a turkey sandwich? One victory out of the playoffs. Need a win. I say go Taysom Hill. Team Cajones. What does his name say? Let's go Taysom Hill. But Derek Carr had a decent game this week. What do you guys think?
Jared?
Yeah, I would say Taysom. Derek Carr, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to make too much out of what Taysom did in one game, especially when it's the Falcons, who I started Matt Ryan in a league, and I like my pickup for most of my leagues where I needed a plug-in quarterback was Kirk Cousins.
Okay,
he did well, and I made the
3
mistake.
touchdowns.
I don't know. He had like 22 points or whatever.
He threw 2 to Thielen and 1 to Jefferson. Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
But I made the mistake of starting Matt Ryan over him in a league, and it cost me that game. So Taysom Hill was helped out by the fact that the Falcons' offensive line was
horrible.
Just like, wet tissue paper or something. I mean, Matt Ryan could do nothing, and so they just kept giving the ball back to him. So that worries me a little bit. If maybe he's not going to have as many opportunities or whatever, but if those are the choices, then I would probably go Taysom. Carr did well for a while. He seems to be a good bit better at home than he is on the road. Like at home, he's basically been at 20 points in like 4 out of the 5 games. He didn't do well against Denver, but otherwise he's done well at home. This week's at Atlanta, and he's only had 1 really decent road game at Kansas City. So I would go Taysom. I don't know if Carson Wentz might be out there. I'm probably going to roll the dice on Carson Wentz in a couple of leagues where I need a plug in this week. Even as bad as he's been, they do get the Seahawks. So
Jamal Adams is healthy though.
Yeah, it is. It's risky, but we'll see. But yeah,
you got to do what you got to do.
Out of those, I'd do Taysom.
AJ?
Yeah, it's hard for me to not go Carr against Atlanta. That's the thing for me. This would be an easy hill for me if it wasn't for the fact that Carr wasn't going up against one of the worst passing defenses in football. But yeah, to Jared's point, he hasn't performed very well on the road in his recent road games. 12 against Cleveland, 14 against the Chargers, and they're not a good pass defense either. They've had injuries left and right. This could be a huge Jacobs game where he just absolutely tears them up, and Devontae Booker continues to steal touchdowns. So, I think I'm going to go Taysom. I'm going to go Taysom Hill on this one.
Really? After all that?
Yeah, as much as I like Carr's matchup, I worry about it. Just is he doesn't play well on the road.
He doesn't. That is true. Let me ask you guys a question, because this was my waiver wire pickup for QB. Daniel Jones or those two guys? Daniel Jones playing Cincinnati.
Taysom.
You'd still go Taysom?
I'd still go Taysom. I don't have that much faith in the Giants team overall. I think it's a big Gallman game, but I'll go Taysom.
Yeah, that makes it tough. Daniel Jones has finally gotten it together, like quietly. Yeah. He's kind of gotten it together lately. Like last four games, he's been 21, 18, 12, 22. Now the 12 was at Washington, which has a good pass defense. Yeah. Cincinnati just lost Burrow. I think they're going to have trouble moving the ball. And then on top of that, I saw a stat where it was some analyst talking about Daniel Jones being a good streamer for this week because Cincinnati has given up like the most deep ball yards or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I might actually go Daniel Jones here because, like I said, he seems like he's kind of gotten it together. He's got Sterling Shepard back. He's got Darius Slayton. Cincinnati's so bad. Taysom, again, it's still tough for me to trust off of one game. And especially, going into Denver. Denver's, seems to be just, usually a tough place for people to play. I would actually go Jones. But I mean, like,
I don't want to confidently, right?
Right, not confidently, but yeah, like gun to my head. Yeah.
Thomas H in the chat says 2 weeks in a row I've had a tight end put up a big fat 0. Huh? First Jimmy Graham, then Hayden Hurst.
That's rough.
Yeah. Can you recommend a new tight end or a new tight end coach for my team?
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like that, the reason I lost that league where Hayden Hurst, I had Matt Ryan starting at quarterback and Hayden Hurst at tight end. And so Matt Ryan had 7.28 and Hurst had 0. So, and I lost by 4 points, so if they had just done something. So I would say a guy that I'm kind of revisiting again, looking at maybe picking up is Schultz seems to be kind of factoring back into the Cowboys' plans.
Mm-hmm.
He, 2 weeks in a row, he had about basically averaged 50 yards. He had 53 and 48. Last week, not as many yards. He only had 25, but he caught a touchdown. So he got up to double digits. But, when it's a pretty shallow landscape, I think that's kind of where you got to go. I mean, Jared Cook has totaled 3.1 points over the last 3 weeks, and that's probably not going to get any better with Drew Brees being out. It's probably not going to get any better anytime soon. One other guy that I would maybe look at would be going back to an old Judah favorite, Will Dissly.
Oh, the Diz!
Because Greg Olsen is down. Maybe it's not worth that level of excitement. So Greg Olsen went on IR. He wasn't getting a ton of action in that Seahawks offense. But I mean, it's just like, it's such a ugly landscape at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
You might be desperate enough to have to do that.
Would you give a side eye at all to Jordan Reed?
If he's out there.
Yeah. I mean, if he's out there, I don't.
He's coming off a bye, so a lot of people dropped him.
That's true.
16% owned. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize. Yeah. No, he would probably be better than both of those. I just didn't realize.
The Diz? Come on.
Yeah. I just didn't realize he was that little owned. Yeah.
Well, he hasn't done much, and he was on bye last week, so I think a lot of people dropped him.
Mm-hmm.
And then another guy that's out there is Gesicki.
Your guy.
My guy? Gesicki?
Yeah, you like Gesicki. You called him last year.
I don't know. He hasn't done great this year. I don't know if I want to claim him. But he's had spurts.
Back in week 5.
Well, no. Week 6, 7. Week 5
he got terribly. 0.
No, that was week 5.
No, week 5 he got 14.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Logan Thomas. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a different player. Yeah, Gesicki he hasn't broken 10 since week 5, and he just broke 8 for the first time since week 5.
Yeah.
And that's in PPR, full point PPR.
He's got the New Jersey Jet, the New York Jets. New York Jets. Yeah. That's right? Yeah. So, and they're what, 10th against tight ends? I don't know. Just might be interesting to look at. Seen a lot of people picking them up lately and wondered why.
Maybe it's from, was that the team that he went off against in no, it wasn't. Sorry. I thought he went off against Buffalo earlier this year. He did nothing against the Jets, so I'm not sure why. I don't know why.
Okay. Tight end is a wasteland. So.
Oh, you know what? I bet they're picking him up because I don't know. I wonder if if Fitzmagic is going to go back and continue starting. I haven't looked to see.
Doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it, but maybe I think that may have been sort of the impetus there. Okay, well, Liam Wilson wants to take the job for Thomas H. Bro, says Ryan N. Thanks for being in the Listener League, and thanks for being in the chat. My Listener League team is like 5th in points scored, and it's 3-8. Dang,
that's rough, bro.
Such a struggle bus.
Yeah.
Clayton N says need to pick
Clayton Witt, not Clayton N.
What did I say? Oh,
Clayton
sorry.
N.
Clayton Witt. Clayton Witt. Need to pick up one PPR. Allen Robinson, AJ Brown, Mostert, maybe Ahmed if I get him off of waivers. What do you guys think? Thanks, fellas.
Well, keep in mind, if you start Mostert, you'll get him for 2 quarters, and then he'll go right back out.
I'm not even sure he's coming off IR, but I'm not even sure he's playing this. I don't think he's playing this week.
Yeah, you don't. It's IR return, so basically he has a 21 day window to come back, which is crazy. That
makes some sense.
Do you roll with AJ? Okay, so he needs 1 PPR. I roll with AJ Brown. But who's his matchup this week?
It's Indy, and he did not do well against them in the previous matchup.
Maybe Allen Robinson?
Tough matchup for him too. It's Green Bay, but I would, yeah. I think Green Bay, Allen against Green Bay would be the way I would go, because I mean Mostert, yeah, it's a mess. Like Jeff Wilson,
who's throwing to Allen Robinson? That is the question.
I know. I mean, you can make an argument for AJ Brown, but I would.
Ahmed.
I mean,
he did okay, right? He had like 6 points.
Yeah, but the other thing is, we don't know yet about Gaskin. If Gaskin's coming back.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. If he's going to be activated or not. So I guess maybe nothing's happened with that yet. So I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be.
I think, but the thing is, he's contending though with what is it? Breda. Did Breda take a lot of snaps this last week? I didn't see.
No, he hasn't done much the last 2 weeks.
Well, I think he just came back off of injury, being on injury. I don't know. Well, so what AJ, what do you think, man?
Yeah, this is an easy AJ Brown for me right here. And
really?
Yeah, hear me out. And Claudia makes a good point. Allen Robinson does typically do good against Jair Alexander. That is a really good matchup for him. But I don't think Nick Foles is going to be able to get the ball out in time. Zadarius Smith is top 5 in sacks this year. The Bears' offensive line is like Swiss cheese. There's a reason we're ranked 32nd in rushing.
I don't think Nick is playing.
Yeah,
even if he isn't playing. I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if Trubisky's healthy. I don't know how I feel about Tyler Bray. He slings it more than the other two do.
Yeah.
I don't have faith in the Bears offense. And yes, AJ Brown is one bad game was against Indianapolis on Thursday Night Football, where nobody is performing well this year. Short week. Everybody's been messed up. I would go with AJ Brown here. He's the red zone target, even though it's a tough matchup. I think the Titans need to right the ship. I think they're going to come out firing against Indianapolis because they're behind in the standings right now. As much as I love my guy, Allen Robinson in Chicago, I think just his production's been too inconsistent for me the entire year. And just because I don't think we're going to get any time to pass the ball at all. If it's PPR, then I might go Allen Robinson. If it's not, AJ Brown. I'll say that. If it's PPR, Allen Robinson, because I think he'll get more targets. But if not, it's easy AJ Brown for me.
Quarterback does make a difference for Chicago. If it's Tyler Bray, oh my goodness. No, there's no starting Allen Robinson under that scenario.
If it's Trubisky, that may be a smash the Robinson button, right?
Well, we talked about that. Maybe it was Tuesday night or whenever we talked about that. Like Mitch Trubisky is good for Allen Robinson because he has one read and it's Allen Robinson and that's it. So if it's Trubisky, I'm firing him up for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If it's Foles, if it's Bray, absolutely not. So
yeah, my parents used to say he's got big eyes. He's got big eyes for Robinson. All right, let's see. What do we got here? What is this? Terry McLaurin talking about a missed fade because of the team. Yeah, he's just. I mean, you're right. He hasn't been too bad. I think
he's been consistent with 10+, but his ceiling hasn't been great.
I just got his signed rookie card too.
Oof, it's nice card.
Really, yeah. All right. Todd in the chat says, oh, he's the one who's saying Terry McLaurin. The one and only week Taysom was a starting QB and tight end eligible in ESPN. My dad played him against my brother. My brother is already last place.
That's mean, man. That's harsh.
You put in the what was it? The Discord chat that he's no longer available.
ESPN officially put him back to quarterback the 1 week while it lasted.
Yeah, it makes no sense for him to be a tight end over there. So
yeah, you're right. Claudio, what's up, guys? What's up, Claudio? Good to have you, bro. All right, let's see. Liam asks Gallman versus Cincinnati. Zeke versus Washington. AJ Brown versus Indiana start 2.
And also, Claudio brings up the point: is Devonta Freeman active? No, he was put on IR last week, so he's just
he's gone for
he's at least gone for this week.
Yeah, and next week too, if I believe, because IR is 3 weeks now, I think, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if does having the bye in there make any difference? I don't know if it does or not.
I don't know.
Interesting. I think you got to go with. You got to pick 2. Start 2. I feel like it's Gallman and Zeke, but it's hard because Zeke is a shadow of himself at this point. Gallman is Gallman, but he's been doing all right. AJ Brown could go off. He is their one read in the red zone. I don't know though. I tend to want to stick with the running backs. What do you guys think? We'll go with you, AJ.
Yeah, this is one where I'd say I think the running backs do have a safer floor here. Gallman's been good. Gallman has been very good. You guys, Jared and Judah, you guys have brought that up, that Gallman has been very good in tough matchups this year. So him going up against Cincinnati, Giants coming off a bye, he's the easiest one to start out of these 3 for me. After that, I think Zeke, go with the hot hand. A.J. Brown got a touchdown last week thanks to the Ravens just half A.J. Brown becoming beast mode and half the Ravens forgetting how to tackle. So I'll go with Zeke. I'll go with Zeke here against Washington. Thursday scares me, though. Like I said, Thursday games have been terrible this year for NFL teams. But running backs will always have that safer floor for the most part unless you're like McLaurin and Allen. So I'll go Gallman and Zeke here.
Jared?
Yeah, same. Gallman's the easy one, like it's just funny what we discuss at the beginning of seasons, like, ooh, who's going to be the superstar players? And then, you get to week 12 and it's like, oh yeah, Wayne Gallman for sure over Ezekiel Elliott and AJ Brown. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the second one is tougher, but I would go with Zeke for the floor. I felt good about starting him last week. Because it was Minnesota and it just seemed like, that was just like we said, if he's not going to get going there, when is he ever? And so I'm hoping that's going to be a little bit of momentum, that the Washington game maybe will stay kind of close. And he'll be able to, get some yards, maybe get a touchdown. I think that's just a safer floor than AJ Brown. The Colts just have a tough pass defense. When they played him a couple of weeks ago, they held him to 1 catch for 21 yards. So yeah, it's Gallman and Zeke for me.
Okay. So Noah Drontel is in the chat. Hey, good to have you, man. Glad you're watching. Huh? Yeah. So should I trade Galladay, Gibson, and Taylor for Keenan Allen if I have plenty of running backs?
And his running backs are Jacobs, Eckler, and Swift, by the way.
I would say I think that we go ahead and give him the...
Do it! Come on! Do it now! Do
it! What do you guys think?
Yeah, it feels... It would be painful a little bit for me to do that because it feels like you're giving up so much. But Keenan Allen's so consistent, and I mean, Kenny Galladay, you don't know when's he going to be
Is he gonna
back.
play the rest of the year?
Is he going to play the rest of the year? I mean, we've seen, just week after week, like, oh yeah, he's going to be back. We've seen this with multiple players, and then like Joe Mixon, then went on IR, so that could happen. It could be like, oh no, we've just decided to put him on IR. So if you have plenty of running backs, then yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass up Keenan Allen's, ceiling and floor there.
What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, Keenan Allen is just a target monster. Just a target monster, touchdown monster. Herbert is just letting him do his thing, and he's kind of showing all of us that he really should be a top 5 wide receiver, respected as one of the best wide receivers in football. And especially since Noah just brought up, he also has Herbert too. Yeah, that'd be really nice if I could have Allen and Herbert stack up in points. So yeah, Gibson's schedule is iffy. Taylor is, I mean, great schedule, but like we said, is he even going to be the number one? The Colts have a weird rotation going on. For a guy like Allen, I'd do it.
What did Taylor get last week? And
he got 10.
He had like
this week he had
13. 13?
13, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's not super exciting,
Well, I mean, the good part was that they really just kind of fed him the ball. Now, I mean, he had 22 carries, so that's the more exciting part. He had 22 carries, 90 yards, but Green Bay's terrible against the run. I mean, Tennessee is too, but he didn't do well against them a couple of weeks ago. So it's still a little bit worrisome. But like Taylor's rest of the season schedule through week 15, then he gets Pittsburgh in week 16. But his schedule is Tennessee, Houston, Las Vegas, and Houston again. Like this is a chance for him to maybe get going the rest of the season. So we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. I would like to not go too long tonight. So if you guys don't mind, let's see. I want to make sure we take off this. Can you guys think of 3 top waiver wire pickups? And let's hit the waiver wire or the waiver something.
Sleeper waiver wire.
Sleeper waiver wire. So, we like to throw in the sleeper aspect of it because this is a good chance to get ahead of your teammates and think about the future matchups, especially getting close to the playoffs here. We do have a couple more comments, but we'll come back to those real quick. Are the top 2 just Gus Bus and who's the other guy? The wide receiver. Your guy from the Colts, the rookie there.
Pittman?
What's his name?
Pittman?
Yeah. Is it just?
What? Oh no, Jared just disconnected.
You must have hit the wrong button. So what do you think, AJ? For me, those are like the 2 obvious ones. We lost you there for a second.
Yeah, my little screen flipped and it said an error occurred, but it is not your fault. I'm like, oh well, reassuring. I didn't think it would have been my fault. But okay.
So is it just Gus Bus and Pittman that are the smash? Play all your you use your fab to get them. Gus Bus being the only show in town this week. Of course, he's going against Pittsburgh, so I don't know how much you're going to get from him. And then Pittman he looks like the primary target for Rivers, and he's doing well with it. I mean, he just really is a good player. Pushback?
I mean, Pittman's doing a lot with what he's getting. Now he got a lot of targets for 2 weeks in a row there, but like this week, T.Y. Hilton had twice as many targets as he did. He just didn't do anything much with it. Yeah. So it was 6-3. Pittman still worries me. Pittman feels like a poor man's Chase Claypool because Ben Roethlisberger's gonna throw that ball, and he's gonna spread it around to Juju and Deontay Johnson, a lot to Deontay Johnson and Claypool. Phillip Rivers is going to throw some, and hardly anyone is really going to be fantasy relevant with it. So Pittman has the best chance to be. I think at this point in the season there are very few like smash pickups, like if a guy goes down with an injury or something, but I think like you've got three weeks left to get to the playoffs. If you're fighting for the playoffs, if you've got like some awesome, 9-2 team or something like that, don't worry about it. You're fine. But I think that this is kind of the point in the season where you really have to look at, who you're playing the next 3 weeks, like what it's going to take to beat them to get in the playoffs. And so what you need may be, a quarterback. It might be a Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins to win a matchup that you have to win 2 weeks from now in order to, beat a team that has the same record with you that's trying to get in the playoffs. It might be a defense. So I think it depends on, what you need for your team.
I need a wide receiver. Pittman's not the answer, huh? You're saying that? Like, would you play Pittman over Samuels?
Are you talking about Curtis Samuel?
Yeah, Curtis Samuel.
I think Curtis Samuel might be a little bit of a safer. Yeah. Right. Like the tough thing with Samuel is that he's got a bye in week 13. Like it seems like we ought to be done with buys by now, but I guess maybe because of just, I don't know. I don't remember how much some of these COVID rearrangements messed up the schedule and buys, but anyway, so he's got a bye in week 13. So that makes it kind of tough. Pittman at least does have a soft schedule. Yeah. So that's nice. I think a guy that still kind of keeps getting overlooked, who's not much more owned than Pittman, is Corey Davis, who has missed who missed a couple of games in the middle of the year with an injury, and then he had a weird game against Chicago, which was kind of like that Calvin Ridley game against Green Bay where he just did nothing, like had a few targets and didn't catch a ball.
He got shut down.
Yeah. Apart from that, like Corey Davis in the 7 games that he's played has been at like basically right around 10 points, like 9 point something or more. He's had a few games of like 12 to 13. He had a 22. So he's not like, he's not tearing it up. But they've also played some tough, teams in there too. And the rest of the schedule is not, once they get past Indy, he's got Cleveland, Jacksonville, Detroit, and then Green Bay. So I think Corey Davis might be, an interesting guy to look at if you're receiver needy.
AJ, what about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to go ahead and say, Wayne Gallman is still owned in 50% of leagues.
Only 50?
He's owned in 54% right now, 56%.
He's taken in every single one of mine. I wish he was out there. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, yeah, he's one that I definitely go out and get because he's got a nice couple games in a row. Wide receiver is starting to get a little bit shifty. I'm going to try not to be enticed by that Jarvis Landry matchup. I still don't know why he's 78% owned. I do think KJ Hamler is still, or sorry, not KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick is very, very interesting to me. He's riskier, but in 10, 12 team leagues, what else are you going to do? Pick up Hunter Renfrow, right?
His matchup this week, though, bothers me.
I know his matchup this week bothers you against Kansas City, but I think that's worse for Lindsey and Melvin Gordon because they're not going to be able to run the ball at all. This is a game I think Drew Lock throws it 40 times. And really? I think so. That's what he's been doing the entire season. And that could end up being Drew Lock throws for 170 yards and 5 interceptions, but this is getting to the point where we almost need to take those risks, especially with injuries and people being out. So Tim Patrick is really interesting to me, not so much in non-PPR leagues, but I mean, PPR is just normal nowadays. I do think another one that's really interesting at tight end is Austin Hooper. He's got good matchups, but I'm kind of sick of all Browns pass catchers at this point because they've been doing absolutely nothing ever since Odell went out. Sterling Shepard is another one. He gets Cincinnati this week, and we're talking about Daniel Jones, and he's 44% owned. And if he does well, you get to hang on to him because he gets Seattle after that. So I do think Sterling Shepard is someone – I can't believe I'm saying that. Sterling Shepard is someone that you're going to want to go out and pick up on your waiver wire if he is available.
Yeah, Slayton too. If he's out there, he's 70% owned, so he's out there, and and a good number still. He's out there nearly in half of mine. So and like I said, they quoted. I saw someone quote that stat about the deep ball against Cincinnati. So
that would be Slayton.
That would be Slayton. So did you have one? Did you give one of your sleepers already, Judah?
So I think I did. I gave a couple. Who did I say earlier?
Oh, maybe you were talking about Pittman and Gus.
Yeah, Pittman and Gus were my top two. But they're kind of the top two all around. What do you guys think going back to the Aguilar train? He's getting targets. He's dropping a lot of balls, but he's got, he
gets Atlanta.
He's got potential, and he's got Atlanta. I'm thinking about picking him up.
I think it kind of goes back to the thing of us saying this is kind of the time that we need to take risks at this point. We're kind of past the point where we can pick and choose who we want on the waiver wire. So I think he can be valuable in some leagues, especially with Atlanta and the Jets. Don't expect much out of him this week because in true Aguilar fashion, more than likely he'll get 1 point next week and 30 points next week because Aguilar decides to score every other game. So I think he's interesting. What worries me is that he's really not getting targets. I mean, he's had 9 in 2 out of the last 5 games, but in the other ones, it's been 2, 3, 5. So, or 2, 3, 4, sorry. So it's a calculated risk, but it is a risk all the same. It is a very big risk.
Yeah, what do you think, Jared?
Sorry, I was looking at something. Refresh my memory on Aguilar. Yeah, I mean, the volume is just not tremendously encouraging right now. It is a good matchup. I mean, all of a sudden he busts out with 9 targets after having 9 combined in the previous 3 games. So it's just, gosh, that's risky. But I mean, it is Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It is Atlanta. So if you want to take the risk, I mean, that's not a bad one to take it on.
Would you do Aguilar or Cordell Patterson, who is slated? He's got the WR. He's got the WR. You play him in your WR slot, but he's getting, how many carries did he get before the bye? Let's take a look here.
Well, but
12 carries against. Yeah.
But is David Montgomery going to be back?
I don't know. Doesn't look like it so far.
He's currently questionable. Doesn't look like there's any new news on him. I'll check.
Says
he might have some.
I haven't seen anything. If he's going to be back, I wouldn't. I would go with Aguilar over Patterson. If you're looking for a running back, I was not joking before about Frank Gore. Because P. Ryan just is on IR, and so Gore's got some solid matchups. Miami, Vegas, and Seattle. for the next 3 games. So, especially that Las Vegas matchup, they've not been good against the run. CEH kind of had a little resurgence
last week,
this week with them, where he put up 20 points. So I would definitely. I'm picking up Gore in some leagues for mainly for next week, for that next week matchup against the Raiders.
Okay, well, let's see. MathQuest, MathQuest.
I think it's a little bit above that. We have one. A little bit above that.
For that, why don't you click on it?
All right. Speaking of picking people up, DST this week.
That's what I was going to go to, because I think we should sort of wrap it up. We got a couple more questions, but as far as the waiver wire, wrap up the waiver wire with some good DSTs, and maybe AJ, if you want to give us a few kickers that we can pick up. I don't care, but no, I actually do. I've started to kind of look at who to put, but before we do that, Justice Hill, is he going to be the one that usurps the carries in for the Ravens?
I don't.
Is he worth picking up?
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a 1-week play that really only worth it if you have the room in really deep leagues, because a lot of us are just trying to keep players that we need to win and possible injuries. So I don't know if it's worth it at this point. And to be fair, we talked about Gus Edwards and we're worried about him playing against Pittsburgh, but I do want to say he's going to be rested because Dobbins got all the carries and England got all the carries. He's going up against Pittsburgh's defense, who's going to be tired because they played on Thursday. And the last time Pittsburgh's defense got tore up, it was because of 100 yards by J.K. Dobbins. If any running back is going to beat Pittsburgh, it's going to be someone out of Baltimore. So I will say I do like Gus this week.
Well, Gus has a good offensive line working with him. What defense is going against a poor offensive line? Of course, the first one on the waiver wire is going to be the New York Giants.
Again.
Is it worth picking up? I'm actually looking at Seattle against that Philadelphia line. Jamal Adams is healthy. Fire him up. What do you guys think? What is a good defense to stream this week? And looking forward to, the playoffs coming up.
Well, yeah, I really start looking ahead this time of year. So like Sunday, after some guys played like early games or whatever, I was dropping them for the Green Bay defense. So if especially if what's the third string quarterback's name for Green Bay? Or I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry for Chicago.
Tyler Bray.
Oh, Bray.
Yeah. So fire up some Tyler Bray, Chicago, because I've got that Green Bay defense on a lot of teams. I'll take that hit on Allen Robinson if I can get that him against that defense. Sorry, AJ.
Nope. Yep, that's fine.
But no, that's the one I like for this week, regardless. But especially if Bray is the quarterback, in which it's looking like he might be, because Trubisky's week to week and iffy, and I think it may come down to whether or not Foles plays. But anyway, the other one I was going to mention, not necessarily as much for this week, because I think, it could work out well this week, but you don't really know which Philadelphia team you're ever going to get. But I like that Seattle defense for the next 2, weeks after that. Like they get the Giants at home on week 13, and then they get the Jets in week 14. So if you need someone to, like, a defense to close out, and help try to put you over the top and get you into the playoffs, Seattle could be a sneaky defensive play there at the end.
Nice. And then, of course, don't forget last week, Jared and AJ brought up the Bears. They brought up the Browns, and there was one other one that did really well this week. Well, the Bears didn't play, but the Browns did really great.
Yeah, they got a touchdown. They got a defensive touchdown in a absolutely horrible weather game against Philly. It was a beautiful day for them, for the Browns defense.
That's true. Yep. So AJ, what do you think, man? Is there a good streaming defense you're eyeballing out there?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with the ones that Jared said. Dallas is interesting. Seattle's interesting. Arizona, I mean, it's going to get you 3-7. So, I mean, they definitely don't really have they've never really gone in negative points all that much. They're not the best defense out there, but I mean, you could do worse. Some people I know had dropped LA, I think, because of the matchup that they had against Tampa Bay
the other one
against San Francisco.
Mhm.
The Rams have a good matchup this week. And then again, be on the lookout for the next 2 weeks because the Cleveland Browns, we've talked about them a lot. They get a great game against Jacksonville this week. If you can hang on to them through their really tough matchup against the name is evading me right now. Titans. If they can make it out of their matchup with the Titans, it is smooth sailing through the fantasy playoffs. Giants and Jets in 15 and 16. So if you can hang on to them, absolutely do so. You just got to make it past Tennessee and Baltimore if you can afford to do that, especially if you're a 1 or 2 seed. Because then if you've locked your spot there, guess what? You don't have to play that week anyway. Hold on to them.
Can I throw out a 1 week sleeper out there to you guys? What about Carolina against Minnesota just this week? And then they have a bye. I saw somebody saying, yeah, I was looking at my McCaffrey schedule coming up, and I'm like, man, I got to get him back for week 3. No. They got to buy. Funny. But Carolina this week against Minnesota, they shut out. Who they shut out?
Detroit.
And Matthew Stafford with a messed up hand.
And no Kenny Galladay. I think
no
that
DeAndre Swift.
And no DeAndre Swift. I think that was probably more about Detroit than Carolina, which has otherwise not let otherwise let's say Carolina has just been, awful. I mean, they had one game above 5 points. That was 11, oddly enough, against the Chargers back in week 3, where they had some fumble recoveries. But I think that was a Detroit game, which actually, speaking of, maybe the dice roll then this week is Houston.
Ooh, against Detroit.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. All right. Well, unless you guys have any others to throw out there, I'm just going to hit the chat real quick.
Just real quick, I got a couple of kickers for us, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, kickers.
Ryan Suckup, always pretty safe for the most part in Tampa Bay. He always gets consistent field goals. Daniel Carlson has been great. He has not dipped under 7 points the entire year. So, and he's only in 49% owned. Absolutely go get him if you can. Also, Rodrigo Blankenship dropped back down to sub 50% owned. I get that he had 2 bad weeks.
But that's how you dropped him.
They were playing Baltimore. So I think those guys are definitely ones that you want to be on the lookout for points for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had I picked up Youngway Koo.
Good one.
And actually that would have, I think Blankenship had 2 points more than him, so that would have gotten me the win. But Koo has been a beast this year. I mean, apart from one bad game, his last 6 games, he had a 2-point game against Detroit. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, he's been at 13, 20, 13, 12, 13. That guy is kicking field goals for the Falcons. So they almost all of my teams, I either have Koo, Blankenship, or Carlson as my kicker. So
very nice.
Okay, what's up, Roto Hacker? Should I start? Kalen Ballard's Math Quest. That's Anthony, right? I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kalen Ballage or Wayne Gallman? Gotta do the Wayne Gallman. Ballage, we don't really. I mean,
and Eckler may be back.
That's right.
True.
And I have to point out that I actually gave MathQuest good advice for that matchup Saturday, where he asked me about the which guys had the highest ceiling. And I said Mike Williams and Curtis Samuel. And he started Mike Williams. He didn't start Curtis Samuel. If he had started Curtis Samuel, he would have come very close. I think it would have still lost to me by like half a point, but it would have made it like uncomfortably close. But I did give him good advice on that because they both went off.
You're an honorable man. Okay, so we all think Gallman, right? That's a smash.
Yeah.
Let's see. Don't forget the Rivers' favorite target is Hines and Taylor. LL. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. Do we have any good questions? Would you trade CEH for Keelan Allen? My other backs are Zeke, CEH, Swift, Gallman, and Drake. Non-PPR? Yeah, I think I would.
Straight up? Yeah.
I think I would. Straight up. Is that a do it? Do it now? What do you think, Jared? It's up to you.
Sorry, let me read this. CEH
for Allen, for Keenan Allen. He's already got Zeke, Swift, and Gallman, and Drake.
Yeah, I would do it.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Come on! Do it now!
That's a do it now. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Do you see any other questions we should hit?
We got this one right here. Clutchful. Offered Lamar Jackson and Ridley for Russell Wilson, currently 10-1 and slim on wide receivers.
I mean, you're going into the playoffs, and if it's public league, standard league playoffs, that's week 15. Lamar gets Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson gets Washington, which is like number 1 pass defense. And Calvin Ridley's good. Well,
let me ask you a question. Is Calvin Ridley better or worse when JJ's not playing? Julio Jones. Because it looks like Julio Jones is banged up again.
Yeah.
Again.
I think he's probably better when Julio's playing because Julio can draw double teams, and then Calvin Ridley just gets one-on-one, and he's going to probably beat their corner. But still, if you don't have great receivers and you've got a chance to get Calvin, I would probably do that. I mean, just based on all the factors. I like the fact that he gave us all that information because it really does make a difference. If you're going into the playoffs anyway, and you just start looking at like week 15 matchups, Russell Wilson gets Washington, Lamar Jackson gets Jacksonville. I think he can still, put up some pretty good points against Jacksonville. And then, Ridley, I would do that. Yeah, under those circumstances.
And especially because we talk about all the time, Russell tapers off at the end of the year.
Yep.
He really does. They start running more, and it looks like they might get a couple more running back.
Carson's supposed to be back, and then Penny is supposed to come back too.
Because now that means that Seattle has Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde and Rashad Penny and Alex Collins and DJ Dallas and Bo Scarborough. Because
Bo Scarborough's on IR.
Okay, take that one back. Still 5 running backs. It's like 99 bottles of running backs on the wall, but
Seattle with running backs and tight ends, it's just like I don't know, it's fragile. It's fragile.
Some kind of weird formula, like just big stable. They always get hurt.
Yeah.
Claudio says, I think Perryman could be a dart throw for picking up off the waiver wire. I think.
And speaking of which, the Jets have been looking better under Flacco with their passing attack than Darnold. It has been lethal recently.
Yeah, I actually think like Denzel Mims and Brashad Perryman are both interesting as long as Flacco is in there because Darnold likes to throw underneath, and so that's actually killed my Jamison Crowder shares because Flacco doesn't throw to him. But Mims, 3 of the last 4 games where he's, really hadn't done anything prior to then. He had been injured. 3 of the last 4 games where he's been in there, he's had at least 7 targets. He's not getting touchdowns, so it's like a consistent, 8 points. Perryman's getting the touchdowns, even though he's getting fewer targets. So he's probably maybe the way to go. Last 2 games, he's had 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. So again, they get Miami, Las Vegas, and Seattle the next 3 weeks. either one of them could be, in a deep enough league, especially serviceable.
Absolutely, I agree. AJ?
Yeah, deeper leagues. I think it works. I mean, you're taking shots in the dark at this point.
Thielen and Cooper and thanks for Bobby Schmerda. Thanks for being in our chat and watching us. Thielen and Cooper for Deontay Johnson and McLaurin in PPR. Oh, yeah, I think I do. Now, Thielen, a little news. Thielen's on the COVID list.
Yeah, he had a positive and a negative, so we're not sure what's going to happen. They're going to test him again and see what he comes out, because we're not sure which one is false.
It's like Schrodinger's Thielen. I got a Schrodinger's Thielen. No? Okay. So what do you guys think? Would you do Thielen and Cooper for Deontay? I don't think I'd do. I think I'd hold on to Thielen and Cooper, honestly.
I would do it, actually. Yeah, because I mean, Deontay's only problem is possibility of injuries. Like if he doesn't get hurt, like Deontay is
wide receiver.
He's like what Thielen was a couple years ago, where he was just getting like 15 targets a game or something, And I like Terry over Cooper. I mean, Amari's still doing okay as a flex or low end wide receiver 2 or something, because he's still getting 5 or 6 catches and 70 or 80 yards. So he's hitting 10 or 11 points. But I don't know how often he's going to, get a touchdown. Terry McLaurin, I mean, he's just in a better position, even with Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
AJ, you agree?
Yeah, this is tough because you're giving up one guy who's boom or bust, and boom or bust in Cooper for 2 guys who are consistent. And guess what? I like consistency on my teams. I've said that before. I'm not always a huge risk taker, and I love Adam Thielen. He has saved quite a few games for me this year. But and I traded for him earlier in the year because I needed a wide receiver in one league. But I love the consistency of McLaurin, and I like Deontay because Ben just will not stop peppering him with targets. So as much as I'm a little bit worried for Deontay this week going up against Baltimore on Thursday night, Cooper is just so iffy to me, and Dallas is just a huge question mark still. I think I'd do it. I'd go with the safer wide receivers here because you have a better chance of getting 20 points from both of them, which is about the same chance you have of Thielen and Cooper getting a combined 6.
Interesting. What about Zach?
Olamide
Zacchaeus. What's his name?
Olamide Zacchaeus.
Yeah, Claudio, that's not a bad point. Picking about, he's got some good wide receivers off the waiver wire.
I think if Julio's out, his one big game he had with 20 points, which I believe was the game when Julio was out, and we were just talking about Ridley. Is he better when Julio's in or out? It can vary. Olamide Zacchaeus' fantasy production to me completely depends on whether Julio's there or not. If Julio is playing, I don't like Zacchaeus. If he isn't, I think he's a sneaky sleeper pickup.
Okay. Jared? Yeah.
I think it's risky. Because he's had a couple of good games, but I think it's a little more unpredictable. Because one of them was actually, I think, with Julio in there, and then there was one where Julio got hurt in that Packers game. I believe it was the next game where people tried starting him and he did absolutely nothing. So I think there's a lot safer options out there. Okay, we got some shout outs here. Rock out 4-game winning streak, baby.
It's been a while since Rock out's been here. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for rejoining us, man. That's good. Fish ended up starting Marvin Jones over Boyd, but still won less than 0.5 points.
Nice. Clutched it out.
1-5. Now he started out 1-5. Now he is 6-5, baby. Yes. All right. Claudia said maybe pick up Washington football team
for the DST.
They have been pretty sturdy.
I started them in a league, and it was a desperation start, but they got 12 points, so it worked out.
It's good. Who are they playing this week?
Cowboys. Cowboys.
So, yeah, that's probably a good fine. Yeah. I traded away Metcalf and Swift for Henry. What do you think? What?
I might have wished. I like it. I maybe would have tried to push just for some other wide receiver. I don't know what your waiver wire looks like, if there's still dudes like Shepard out there or not, depending on how big your league is. I maybe would have wished for just another wide receiver thrown in there, but Henry's going to be more consistent than Swift, and teams are starting to figure out, hey, we need to double DK Metcalf, otherwise he's going to kill us. He's becoming a little bit too boomer bust, especially in recent weeks. That's not a bad trade, especially if you're good at wide receiver.
Yeah, if you're good at wide receiver. What do you think, Jared?
I think it depends on your what are your playoff what's your playoff situation looking like? Like Derrick Henry, the thing I still like about Derrick Henry is week 14 he gets Jacksonville, week 15 he gets Detroit, week 16 he gets Green Bay. Yeah, those are some, I mean, those are like, I think three of the top or three of the bottom five rush defenses. So, I mean, you're looking at Derrick Henry potentially carrying you to a title there. Yeah,
and he just said he has Devontae, AJ Brown, Tyler Boyd, Christian McCaffrey, and Josh Jacobs. So
yeah. That's great. Okay, and then last, and we're gonna go. Seth Sconiers, thanks for being back, man. Says, talk about Taysom Hill. I'm confused. What's happening with him? Look, I don't think anybody really knows, but the truth is he played I think he played every snap of that game last week. He played against Florida. He played against Atlanta, of course. It's an easy defense, but he looked pretty good. He had some pretty on-target throws, and of course he's good at running.
Yeah, 2 rushing touchdowns.
I don't think he had any error. Like, he didn't have any big fumbles. I think he did have a interception.
No turnovers from him. Yeah.
What, did he have no turnovers?
No turnovers, no picks, no
fumbles.
No
turnovers. Wow.
Yeah, 230 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns on 50 yards on 10 attempts. So he was averaging 5 yards a carry as well. If this is ESPN, you can't put him in your tight end slot anymore. So that is sad.
I think he could be a solid streaming quarterback for you. I think he's going to get regularly 19 to 22 points. Just with his running alone, he's got kind of that Lamar Jackson floor, but he's got I don't know. There's a little bit more question mark there. What do you think, Jared? You said it was all about the defense he was playing, but
I didn't say it was
pretty.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it worries me a little bit. I mean, just like we've seen with Lamar, like a team can figure out what your quarterback's doing and shut that down. I don't know. I think it just depends on your options. I mean, the nice thing for him is he does at least have one thing that Lamar doesn't have, and that he has Michael Thomas to throw to. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice.
That is true. Michael Thomas woke up again this week.
Although, I mean, as a Michael Thomas owner, I wasn't, rejoicing. He had 10 points?
Oh, yeah, 19.
No, he had 19?
Yeah.
I think, it was like high teens. It was 15. Sorry, it was 15 and a half point. Yeah,
gotcha.
Okay, so I mean, he had 9 catches for 104 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, this is in my standard league. That's probably why.
Gotcha.
Without any of the
Yeah.
Well.
Also, I will say, if you can last through this week with Taysom, because this week is a little bit worrying. They're going up against Denver, who just shut down Miami, who had been red hot. Granted, the Saints do have a great offensive line. If you can hang on to him for 1 week, he gets
Atlanta again.
Yeah, it's true. He also threw 6. Yeah, I saw that. I had Sanders. That would have been a nice little extra there.
He's got some nice. It's not, it's just, I don't know that it's going to be like an every week, start. I mean, then he gets Philadelphia, which is nice. Kansas City, I don't know. I would have to think that one through. And then he finishes the season against Minnesota. I mean, if he's still in there then.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably going to be because, I mean, Drew Brees, 11 cracked ribs. Those are not going to heal anytime soon. So, I mean, Taysom
I hate to
Hill.
laugh, but somebody said, because he was like, it was like 11 on this side, 11 on that side. Someone said, how many ribs does this guy have?
Right. Well, somebody said that he needed to stop going back to the doctor because the first time he went, they said he had 3. And then the second time they said 8. And then the last time they had 11. So it's like just more ribs keep cracking. I don't know.
Oh, poor guy. That's got to be painful.
And they're saying his timetable right now is to get back week 15 against Kansas City. That's what it's projected.
I mean, maybe if they're just like, maybe so. I mean, maybe like the fractures are so tiny hairline that they can heal in that amount of time, but still, like, man, that seems like an ambitious timeline. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of an ambitious timeline, also he said it seemed like
that's a good comparison.
But we gotta go. We've had an ambitious timeline here of trying to get done by reasonable hour, and we're doing okay today. Less than an hour and a half.
It's a reasonable hour somewhere.
Yeah.
That's good. So we're going to say goodbye. Unless you guys have anything else other than goodbye, we're going to hit the intro.
Good luck on the waiver wire.
Yep. Good luck. Join our Discord if you haven't. Link is in the chat.
Oh, nice. Good job. Adios.